Ciao belli! Welcome to a new video. My name is Mamo. On my channel you will find a lot of stuff related to filming, photography, camera gear and so on. Everything related to content production. Today tutorial for beginners. We're going to see how the Zhiyun Smooth 5 works. It's a gimbal stabilizer for smartphones. When you get your gimbal, it will come with a tripod. That's the very first thing you want to do. Place your tripod here in this screw thread. Easiest thing in the world. We're gonna start to understand how the Smooth 5 can be charged. At the back of your gimbal you will have a rubber door. This is a DC in, which means you can power your gimbal through this port. You just simply need a cable, USB cable to USB-C that comes with the gimbal. What you want to do is to plug in the USB-C into the port. As soon as you do that, we're gonna turn the gimbal, and if you look at these lights here, they will start running. These are actually the modes light. It doesn't really show the battery, but it's the modes of the gimbal, but they will be lit up one by one. It means your gimbal is charging. We also have a DC out port, which is actually right there on the gimbal. And that's actually to use the gimbal as a power bank for your device, recording device. We're gonna check it later on once we have balanced the smartphone on the gimbal. Next thing we wanna do is to unlock the gimbal. And guys, bear this in mind, you don't want to turn your gimbal on before you do that and before you place and balance your smartphone on the stabilizer. Otherwise, you will ruin the motors. The gimbal will start shaking, not good. So we have three locks on these specific gimbals. The first one, the main lock, is right here at the back of your gimbal. This lever, simply we pull it to the other side and now the gimbal is free to move. Otherwise, if you lock it, you won't. Okay, so that's the first thing you're gonna do. Then, just to be on the same page, let's spin the gimbal with the front towards yourself. And we have a second lock, which is here. I took a while to figure this out because I was worried to break it, but the actual way to unlock it is to take this motor and bring it up. And there's a lock right there. This is your lock. So when it goes down, you'll see from the side, it locks into place. So it's literally just putting a bit of force, a bit of strength, and lift it up. What you want to be sure is to read these numbers upright. So you don't want it to be like this, but like that. And also these two texts on the side of the gimbal has to be upright and not upside down like so. We have a third lock, which is this one here for the tilting. And again, it's the same mechanism. So you want to put a bit of strength there. This time slide it up there because your lock is here. So it goes from there to that. Your mount could be placed when you receive your gimbal in this way. That's another lock because we can mount the device in two different ways, portrait and landscape. And we're gonna check that out in a second. So keep it like that just to read the Zhiyun logo upright. And we're gonna see how to balance your smartphone in landscape mode. Make sure that this motor is on the same side of the joystick because that would be the way your smartphone will be facing. And that's what we're gonna do. Take your smartphone, we want to open up the mount, just drag these two things up, slide your smartphone in, and make sure the camera is to the left-hand side. Because if it's here, it will be covered by this arm, like so. And also, make sure that your smartphone is really attached to the motor here. So we can leave some space, but we'll get there in a second. To start with, just make sure it's placed against the motor. To balance the gimbal, we have to balance only two axes, even though this is a 3-axis stabilizer. And we start with the tilt axis, which is this one here. In this case, we want to make sure our phone can stay horizontally. And to do so, if your phone doesn't, what you gotta do is to take these two brackets, these two arms here. Hold the center of the mount and simply slide up or down until it stays in an horizontal position. And that's my position. Once you've done that, we can release, let it go completely. We want to unlock this lock here. It's just a screw, so unscrew it. And with your smartphone still in an horizontal position, you want to slide this arm until you find the right balance and until the gimbal stays. If you go this way, it's too heavy on the left. If you go that way, it's too heavy on the right. So you want to find the center. Perfect. Once you find the spot, you screw the lock again. And now we're ready to rock and roll. Let's say we want to balance our gimbal for portrait mode instead. Well, you can do it with your phone on top of your gimbal already. So we want to slide the phone this time to have a bit of space between the motor and the phone. So to my left hand side, and I simply spin the mount to the right until the phone flips vertically. Now it's completely out of balance again. So I want to slide the phone down this time. And I'm gonna look for the horizontal spot once again. Just sliding your phone up and down. That's good for me. It stays, but this arm is unbalanced. So I'm gonna unlock this lock and find the center again until it stays in all the position I place it to. Perfect. Screw it back in and we're ready to turn the gimbal on. Okay, very simple procedure. There's a power button which is right here to the right hand side of the gimbal. We press it. 1, 2, 3. These lights will become red and the gimbal will turn on. We do the same thing to turn the gimbal off. So we just go here, hold it, 1, 2, 3, and the gimbal is dead. Let's turn it on and I want to show you something. So 1, 2, 3. Remember I told you there's a DC out port, which means you can charge your smartphone as you're using the gimbal. So you want to have a USB-C to USB-C cable to do so. Something like this, okay? This is a bit too long as a cable, but one will go inside the port, which again is here on top of this motor. So I'll plug it in, and the other one will go inside my phone, of course. And as I do that, I'll show you what's happening. I plug this in. The phone is actually charging. The problem with using this cable, it's a bit heavy, so you might want to get something else, also a bit thinner in terms of the connection, something like this. You can find it on Amazon, very cheap stuff. If you have a drone, actually you can use one of your DJI Mavic or whatever you have, but those cables are perfect. Also, you want to have it a bit thinner because if you use your phone in horizontal mode, it will not fit between the motor and your smartphone. Let's say I've got my phone in landscape. See, there's not enough space between the motor and the phone for this cable. So I want to have something a bit thinner, and in this way I need to rebalance my gimbal like so, just moving this arm basically. I want to go through some of the buttons of the gimbal and how to operate the gimbal from the gimbal itself. So from the buttons you've got right there, because you can do more things through the app. But first of all, let's check this out. Here at the front, we have a joystick. This allows you to move your gimbal left, right, up or down. Very simple. And that's what you can do with the buttons here, okay? There's not much else we can do apart from changing the mode of the gimbal. What does that mean? Every gimbal can be moved in different ways. By default, the gimbal comes in PF mode, which is pan follow, and you can see again by this tiny white light which says PF. Pan follow means whatever you do with your hand in terms of left to right, the camera will follow you left to right, but it will not follow you up or down. That's the tilt, so it's not going to follow you. With the mode button, we're going to switch the mode, and you will see it will go to L, which is lock mode. In this way, whatever you do with your hand, the camera will keep pointing the original position. We go to the next mode, and this is F mode, follow mode. So in this way, whatever you do with your hand, the gimbal will follow. even the tilt, up, down, left, right. Next, POV. POV, it's a more free kind of movement. So it will go also in a diagonal way, as you can see. With the other modes, you can't do that. Next one, it's V, vertigo mode. So your gimbal will tilt up. You need to place your gimbal horizontally now. And with the joystick, you can go left and right and create the inception mode. So your phone will spin and you can go back and forth by doing that. I'm back in the default mode, which is pan follow. Let's say my gimbal is facing to the right now, and I want to take it to the original position. Here at the back, we have a trigger, which is this button. To place your gimbal in the default position, you press it twice, quite quickly. 1, 2. There you go. What happens if you press it 3 times quickly? 1, 2, 3. You will go in selfie mode. Very easy way to start recording yourself. And here I'm going to add something, because on the side of the gimbal, on the right hand side, you will see a screw thread, and 1/4 inch screw thread. Here you can attach whatever you want, an external monitor, an external microphone, or a light as well. So it's very handy. You can check some of my other reviews and see how that works. To spin the gimbal again facing the other way, you click on the trigger 3 times, 1 more time. The very cool feature of this gimbal is the built-in light, which is right here in front of your smartphone. To turn that on, it's very simple. We actually have a dedicated light button on the gimbal itself. There's a bulb drawn here. We want to hold it, 1, 2, and check what's happening. The light went on. You can't see it now because it's quite dark. To increase the power of the light, there is a wheel. You want to spin that wheel clockwise, and your light, you can see it on my monitor, but I'm going to show you the other way. There you go. So like facing this way, I go counterclockwise. There you go. Clockwise, you increase the power. I'm going to turn it on, and I keep holding the bulb icon again, and it goes off. Very cool, but there's one more cool feature, because your gimbal comes with an extra external light that you can place either on top of the gimbal or under the mount of your gimbal. There, so that's up to you. You can actually buy extra lights and place both, one on top, one at the bottom. And they work the same way. We're gonna hold the bulb button, and they both go on at the same time. It's really cool, and you can, dial the same wheel for both of the lights. Really cool when you go in selfie mode in darker places. Bear in mind that when you place the light on your gimbal, now the gimbal will be unbalanced again, so the motor will struggle a bit. Make sure you rebalance it properly. And also the light comes with different gels, colored gels that you simply place with a magnet in front of your light. I want to now talk about the apps to control the gimbal. You can use the Stacam app. I simply go on the Play Store or whatever app you're using to download your apps, and we look for Stacam app, which is this one here with like an eclipse. We're going to install it. Now, before we get into the app, remember we need to remount and rebalance the smartphone on the gimbal. And I've done so, and I turned it on. So now I'm gonna go into my apps, and by the way, I mounted my phone in landscape mode because I always film in landscape. I never do portrait, and that's my advice. So we go into the apps, press on Stacam, and I'm gonna show you a few things in here. Also, the app now is set up in landscape mode, but we can set it up in vertical, in portrait mode. The app is not doing that by default, so I'm gonna show you that straight away. There's a setting icon, top right corner. We click on it. On the left hand side, you will see a menu that says Me and Filming. We go to Filming, and here you will see Portrait Mode, which is deactivated right now. If you click on the button, it will be activated. Now that we press the button, As soon as we go back to the actual app, the app will spin vertically. So we don't want to do right now with this mode. I unclick it, but that's what you have to do when you have your phone in portrait mode. As we're still here in the menu, let's go back to Me, and we want to register, because by registering we access more features of the app, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I tap login and register, and now you just fill in the fields until you're registered. So carry on. I'm logged in with my account, so the next time you just need to log in and not register. Let's start from the left hand side. There's a Bluetooth icon blinking. We click on that, and this is the way we are going to link the gimbal to the iPhone. So the Stacam is asking to turn on the Bluetooth, and we allow to do that. And the app is looking for the device. Also, we need to turn on the location. So we go down to our phone settings, activate the location, and try again here. Okay, the gimbal was found, the Smooth 5S Connect. And now that's connected, we can get out of this menu. And if we press the rec button on the gimbal itself, the phone starts recording. So we are actually linked the two devices, which is great. First step, I'm going to repress it on the gimbal, and the app stops recording. All good so far. So the Bluetooth icon shouldn't be blinking anymore, but should be a steady light, a blue light. Now, from the bottom left, we find the record button. If you press that, the app will start recording. Then on the right hand side of the rec button, you will find the photography settings. So you got the frame rate, the temperature of the light, the ISO, and the shutter speed. And we want to start by setting up these things. So whatever you want to film with in terms of frame rate, you will find it right there. And if I click on it, I will choose, for example, 24 frames per second in 4K. So, you know, the best resolution on my phone. If I go to the shutter speed, which is the first next to the rec button, that should actually be double my frame rate. And you can choose auto or manual, and I recommend to go manual. And double my shutter speed is 48 of a second. The closest one is actually 50, so I'll go to 50. ISO, that depends on the light conditions, so it's up to you if you're indoors, outdoors, and so on. And white balance, so the temperature of the light can be set manually again or automatically. And that depends on you, again, on your experience or whatever, but I usually choose all the manual settings. So you can really match the light temperature and the condition of the light for each settings. You got the zoom going to the left-hand side a bit higher. That's the zoom of the camera. I don't care about that. The top left icon is to use the other camera of your phone, so the back camera or the front camera. You just switch between the two. If I go to selfie, simple, there you go. There I am. Still at the top, this icon is the image icon, so you can see what you've recorded or the photos you have taken. Top middle, that's the recording time. On the top right, you will see a few icons which gives you, for example, the battery life, how much space you have in your memory card, and so on. Then we have seen the settings wheel already. You can just scroll through and check the main settings of your account, but also the filming account. So again, if you want to film in portrait or landscape, if you want to use the LUT, which are basically color correction preset already built in. You can put some anti-shake, whatever, choose the coding, so the type of codec of your file, which can either be H.265 or H.264. I would go for H.265 in these settings, and also the bitrate, which I would go for the highest one, and it's 64 megabytes per second. And that's all. It's very simple in terms of settings. If we go to the bottom right, the very one at the corner, that eliminates anything on your screen. So it's just a clean screen with the record button and the same icon to go back to all the different icons here. Then we got the LUT icon, the ones I just mentioned. If you click on it, the app will load a few color correction presets that you can use. You simply click on one, press on the tiny arrow to download it, and it's now on your video, and you can choose the amount of that color correction you want, and your image will actually change according to that. If you want to go back to the original color correction, you go to the very first original, and that's it. You got different ones on the menu, so it's up to you to go through them and check them out. Now, going to the left-hand side, we have the zebra. So whenever the image is overexposed, the zebras, which are literally some lines in diagonal position, will tell you if that area of the image is actually overexposed. For these features though, you need to go to the ZY Kami app and subscribe to access all these kind of things. So unfortunately we can't use them right now. And then the other icon next to the zebra is the grid, and again that's a premium feature, so we can't really use it unless you subscribed. Then we have the audio levels, which are very useful and you don't get in other apps. So you can, as you can see, as I'm talking, you can see the lines going up and down, and they tell you if our volume is too loud or not. On the left hand side here, you will see some waves in white. This is called histogram, and basically again it's a way to monitor your exposure. So that's it about the app and about the tutorial itself. I hope it helped out. If you have other gimbals by Zhiyun or other companies, go and check my channel because I've got a lot of those. Do you know what to do? Hit subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video.